Okay, welcome back, kiddos. Now we are talking about this second page of our notes. We did this page last time. Okay, so this was last time. So make sure you check that out. So now let's talk about area of sectors. Okay, so we talked about what the arc was, right? The arc is right over here. So now let's talk about sector. We know area is the inside. Right? Area means amount that's inside. So the sector of a circle is a region bounded by two radii and their intercepted arc. Okay, so two radii would be like this and this, right? And their intercepted arc, which is that right there. So the sector of a circle is like a piece of pizza. Okay, so this is what a sector is. So that's what we're going to be able to calculate today. So the sector APB, so APB is bounded by AP, which is this, BP, which is this, and arc AB. All right, so that's this. So similar to what we did last time to where we set up proportions, we're going to say the area of the sector is the part of the area of a circle. So we're asking ourselves, how much of this whole thing is this? So what we're going to do is we're just going to set up a proportion. So the amount of the arc measure over 360 degrees, which is a total degrees for a circle, over the area of the sector, which is what we're going to find, right, over the area formula. So the area formula for a circle is is pi r squared, where r is the radius. Okay, so we have to remember that we take pi r squared. So this is the area formula that we're talking about today. Okay, and so then remember last time we talked about the circumference formula. So that's the difference. The circumference formula goes there, and then over there goes the area formula. So the area formula, that's when we're going to use that pi r squared. All right, so once again, just like last time, we're just going to set it up that same way. So let's get right into some practice problems. I think you got it from here. Okay, so it says in circle E, right? So this is E, that's that circle. Measurement of angle DEF is 68. Okay, and DE is 12. Okay, so DEF. So DEF, that goes from D to E to F. So that angle is 68 degrees. Okay, so then it says DE is 12. So D to E is 12. And that is our radius, right? This we know is our radius. Okay, and then so we know that the if the angle is this, that means the arc measure is also 68 degrees, right? So we're trying to find out the area inside of here, right? That's what we're trying to find. So let's go and set it up just like that, like we talked about. Okay, so we're going to set it up with a fraction equals a fraction, right? So we said on top is the arc measure over 360. Well, if that's 68 degrees, the arc measure is also 68 degrees, right? Over 360. Then the area of the sector. It says find the area of the sector. So that means that's what we're going to find is x. And we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. We know that means 2 decimal places, right? It's just same thing from last time. Okay, over the area formula, pi times the radius squared. So we're going to say pi times the radius squared. Well, it says DE, that's our radius, right? So that's going to be 12. So we're going to put 12 right over there. Okay, so that's our first step is to set up. Second step is to cross multiply. All right, so let's do that. So if we do that, where we cross multiply, right, we're going to say 360 times x. That's going to give us 360x equals, and then since we know it's going to be rounding to the nearest hundredth, we're just going to keep multiplying, right? So we're going to say that's 68 times pi times 12 squared. So 68 times pi times 12 squared. Okay. Excuse me. now, since we know that we're going to get to a decimal, we know that we're going to keep pi because that's just another number, right? That's 3.14 rounded. So we're just going to divide that by 360, divide that by 360. Okay, so if we do that, we cancel that out, and we're just going to put the whole thing goes into the calculator, right? So if we put that whole thing into the calculator, that means x is approximately 85.451. And since we said we need to go to the hundredth, right? Hundredth is 2 decimal places, so we're going to underline that 5, right? And we're going to ask the 1 what to do. It's going to say to bring down the 5, then 4, 5, and 8. So that's going to be our answer, 85.45, right? So simple as that. Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's keep it going. All right, so now on this one, though, this one is saying the answer is the fraction times 100. Express your answer. Okay, so that's the difference between this one and the other one. All right, so let's check it out. It says in circle R, so this is R, that circle, RS is 3. So RS, okay, that's 3. And that's our radius, right? So this is our radius, right? And so it says the measure of SRT is 160. SRT is 160 degrees. Okay, so that means the arc is also 160 degrees, right? The arc ST. Arc ST, right? So let's set it up, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set it up just like that. So we said the arc measure goes on top, right? So arc measure goes on top. It says this is 160, so the arc measure is also 160 over 360. Then over here goes our area of the sector, and that's what we're trying to find is the area of the sector, right? So that's going to be our x over 2 pi, I'm sorry, not 2 pi, over pi times the radius squared, right? So what's going to go in there for the radius? The radius is 3. Okay, so now let's go ahead and cross multiply. All right, so first is set up, second is to cross multiply. And we're going to remember, let's see, so we're going to say 360x, right? 360 times x equals 160 times pi times 3 squared. So 160 times pi times 3 squared. Okay, now here's the deal. Since we want our expression as a fraction times pi, we are going to, once we divide by 360, we're going to divide by 360. We're going to leave everything out. We're just going to type into our calculator everything except for the pi, right? And we're going to bring the pi down to our answer. So bring pi down. All right, so that's what we need to remember. We're going to bring the pi down to our answer. So if we do that, this cancels out, so that means x equals, so this whole thing, 160 times 3 squared over 360 is going to give us 4, right? And then we brought our pi over there, so our answer is 4 pi. Okay, so on this one, we remember that our answer is including pi, so we're going to bring that down. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, in circle F, measure of GFH is 135. GFH is 135. Okay, the area of the sector is 24 pi. Okay, and then they want us to find the length of FG. Okay, so FG is right over here. That's what we're going to be finding, right? And that's our radius. All right, so that's what we need to keep in mind. All right, so the first thing we need to do is set it up. Okay, so we said we're going to have the arc measure over 360. So what's the arc measure? If that's 135, that means this arc also measures 135, right? So that's going to be over 360. And then the area is this, but we're not trying to find the area. They give us the area is 24 pi, right? Okay, over pi r squared. And we're trying to find the radius, right? So we're going to keep that pi r squared, right? Okay, so that's going to be step number 1 to set it up. Step number 2 is to cancel the pi. All right, so we got to remember to cancel the pi on this one. So sometimes we forget about that, but anytime we have something on top and bottom, right, those can cancel out. So if we cancel those out, now we are going to, so step number 3, now we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so now if we do that, we're going to have, this is a little tricky, 135 times r squared, right? 135 times r squared is going to be 135 r squared, right? Equals 24 times 360. So if we put 24 times 360 into our calculator, right, if we put that into our calculator, 24 times 360, that's going to give us 8640, right? So now we're getting closer, right? We're trying to get to r squared. So remember, we always divide first, and then we're going to take the square root, right? So we remember how those work. All right, so if we do that, then it's going to be r squared equals 64, right? But we don't want r squared, we want r, right? So that means I need to get to r, I need to take the square root, right? So that means r equals the square root of 64. That means r equals 8. Okay, so that's our answer. So r does not equal 64. R equals the square root of 64, which is equal to 8. Okay, so now that we got that, let's get into this last one. See if you can at least, see if you can set this one up first on your own. It's our last one. All right, so it's this in circle I, right? So this is I. Ij is 5. So Ij is 5. That's I to j. Okay, so if that's 5, that is also our radius, right? We know that this is the radius. Okay, it says the area of the shaded sector is 10 pi. So the inside there is 10 pi. Find, this is what they want us to do, find JIK. So they want us to find this angle, right? Okay, so we know that the this is the same as the arc measure in degrees, right? So if we know that's the same thing as the arc measure in degrees, let's just set it up. Okay, so we're going to set it up the same way, right? Just different numbers. So we said the arc measure goes on top over 360. They want us to find the arc measure, right? So that's going to be right over there over 360 equals, we said the area of the sector goes on top. It says the area of the sector is 10 pi over pi times the radius, which is 5 squared, right? Okay, so that's our first step, right? Second step is to cancel pi. Then our third step would be to cross multiply. So we see right over here, we said we're going to cancel pi. And we know that, right? Because we see that right over here. Anytime we have something on the top and bottom, we're just going to cancel those out. So now our next step is to just cross multiply. So I have this times this, right? So you might be doing that in your head, but otherwise let's write that down. X times 5 squared. We're going to put the number first, which is a coefficient, right? So 5 squared times x, right? We don't say x5 squared. So 5 squared times x equals 360 times 10, right? Because we canceled out that pi. All right, so now let's just do the math. We'll simplify it. So 5 squared. 5 squared, we know, is 25, right? So that'd be 25x equals 3,600. Okay, and we know that because we're just going to add the 0 to the end. Right, so now our last step is just to divide. Right, we're going to divide by 25, so we do that. X equals 144 degrees. All right, so that's our answer. If you have any questions, let me know. We're just going to work through these. We're going to set it up the same way. We're just going to always focus on this, just depending on these different problems, right? On this one, they want us to find the angle, right? This one, they want us to find the radius, right? On this one, they want us to find the area of the sector in pi, right? And on this one, they want us to find the area of the sector as a decimal. All right, so I've gone through all those. If you have any questions, just let me know.